Women make rules for guys that they're really not attracted to, or better English is to whom they're really not attracted, right? But getting your body right, getting lean, or if you're going to get super buff, uh, cutting down so that you're buff but not fat. Um, that is the cheat code because they don't treat you like they treat other dudes when you're lean, when your body is on. And by the way, you don't have to be super chiseled. I mean, obviously, the more chiseled that you are, the better. But just by being lean and having a modicum of muscle tone these days puts you way ahead of the game. It actually makes you a celebrity. And if your grooming's right and your clothes fit you right, man, you're money. And when I think back on my youth, because I was a really lean dude as a youngster, I didn't start to get any girth until well into my like late 30s, right? And from my 30s up until now, it's kind of been up and down, up and down. But I've never been a super ripped guy, right? But I've been what I was, which was a basketball dude. So I looked like a point guard or a shooting guard. I mean, I was, six three, and my weight would range between like 185 and about 195, for the most part. I remember one time I got really lean. I was in the 170s, and then uh, when I went to college and I was playing and I got a little bit. They actually, man, we were lifting a lot of weights, bro, a lot of weights, and we were running on the same days as we were lifting too, which I always thought, well, you're supposed to lift one day and then run. No, they had us lifting heavy and running. And I didn't know anything about eating right and all that type of stuff, right? Like just so if I had known that I needed 200 grams of protein back then, I'd have been built like Adonis. 100%. But I went from about 100, I don't know, 91, 92 pounds to about 200 pounds in the space of about 90 days, just from lifting and running. Yeah. But yeah, so I remember when I got back from San Diego, I remember I had met this chick. I'm not gonna say where, but she was in a customer service, customer facing position someplace, and I saw her, and she served me, and I thought there might be a little chemistry there because she seemed like she was kind of feeling the dude a bit, but I just wrote it off like it was her job to be friendly. So uh, left it alone. I mean, I think I did get her name maybe, but that was it. So fast forward about 6 months later, something like that, I had to go back to the same place. And she was there working. So now I'm like, well, if I don't holler at her now, then that's kind of like I'm a punk. I don't want to be a punk. So I gotta say something to her. So I forgot what I said to her, just whatever it was. I forgot now. But it was nothing major. It was just kind of like probably hi. And introduced myself. She introduced herself. And I probably said something like, hey, it seems like we might have a little vibe going here. Maybe, we can make this kind of continue. And to my surprise, she was down. So we exchanged numbers. Now, understand, at that time, I'm probably 6'3", about 190, 188, 190. I remember I had dropped weight since college. So I was like maybe, like 190, something like that. Super lean. And I wasn't ripped though, right? Just lean. And I remember calling her up, and we had a couple things in common, and conversation just sort of flowed. So then she goes, hey, I forgot how she framed it, but why don't you come by? I'm like, all right, bet. So at some point, maybe a couple days later, I'm at the crib and we're just kind of talking it up, just chopping it up. And then we get to the silent point. I mean, like, like you're ever in a conversation and then it kind of goes silent. There's that sexual tension. Next thing you know, things are starting to get a little hot. I mean, nothing like, X-rated, but things are starting to get a little intense. And then I actually had to go to work. I remember that. And I'm on the way to work, and I'm like, hey, I gotta bounce. And then I'm leaving, and then I'm at the door. Then things are happening at the door. Then she pulls me back into the crib. So we have a little more action. Then I finally leave. And maybe, I don't know, a couple days later, something like that, things really happened. And I'll never forget this. What she said to me was, when I took my shirt off, she said, oh, you have like muscles. She just thought I was just a lean dude, but not with really any sort of muscle tone. When I took off my shirt, and like I'm saying, I was not ripped, but I was toned from being an athlete, lifting weights, hours of basketball, all that stuff. She was like, oh, damn, right? Like my legs are thin, but they were muscular though, right? Shoulders, kind of like you could see the chest, like, hey, this dude actually has some muscle tone. He's not a super ripped up guy, but yet I respect it. Okay. And that's the way, and that was not the first time I had heard that. I mean, well, no, it was the first time I had heard that then, but that would be a consistent theme. Like, chicks would be kind of surprised, like, oh, you're not just thin. You're thin with some muscle tone on you, right? And so you don't have to be like obviously ripped up, cut up, but it helps. But even if you're not, if you're just lean and your frame looks good, like you're not way heavy up top, but your legs are like non-existent, right? Like you should look balanced, okay? And it's kind of like these chicks are surprised, like, oh, wow. So anyway, So, I said all of that to say that when you're on Body Game, the BS rules that they give other dudes, they don't give you. Now, what they will do is they may try to put you on some multiple date situation because they really like you and they want you to be their guy, and they don't want you to think that they give it up so easily. So they're going to try to make you wait. Not that they don't want to give it to you then, but it's that they're playing the long game, right? So that happens too, especially with kind of like older women, right? Because they kind of understand things better. Younger women are way more impulsive at times. But anyway, just wanted to share that with you guys. Like, hey, look, get your body game right, and all these silly games that these chicks are giving you online dating or in person about, I need a dinner date, I need this, I need that, I need this. Listen, let that be for the other guys, right? Now, that's not to say that you can't take a chick out to dinner, but my point is that that's your choice. You don't have to when you're on Body Game. Anyway, like, share, subscribe.